I think people say, how do you learn Polish? And the truth is, bro, you just learn it like you learn any language, right? You have to put the hours in. Input equals output. If you're putting in 1 hour a week, you're going to get 1 hour out a week.
Because you mastered the Polish language.
I had a guy, I went for a massage yesterday and the guy says, oh, you speak very high Polish, you know. Like, no one's ever said that before, bro. You know, most of the time they're like, what? I can't understand the word. I realized really quickly on, from my point of view, given that I didn't really have that many transferable life skills from the UK because I'd worked in government, done like a variety of different jobs. I worked on quite early on that it probably would be wise to learn a language. So I kind of took a slightly different route and I decided to try and immerse myself in the culture, the history, the people, kind of deliberately didn't really mix with very many, quote, foreigners. And that gamble paid off. I started working in Polish companies. I had to pitch to companies in Polish, which is absolutely terrifying. It's got a reputation to be a pretty difficult language, as you know. And slowly but surely overcoming that pain barrier, you know how it is, right? Quite a lot of the heavy lifting at the start. And then afterwards, it gets easier and easier. So right now, I kind of do live in a kind of English-Polish hybrid thing. The sentence is kind of half English, half Polish a lot of the times.
So how long you would say that it took you to really speak the language? Like if someone now is like, hey, I want to learn Polish.
I think people say, how do you learn Polish? And the truth is, bro, you just learn it like you learn any language, right? You have to put the hours in. Input equals output. If you're putting in 1 hour a week, you're going to get 1 hour out a week. I took the exact opposite. I want to fill my day with this language. So try to immerse from morning to noon to night. And the way we learn as human beings, and in fact, you look at a baby, right? You actually see this. We start from the basics. We do the simplest possible movements. You're waving your hands. That's how you're starting to build motor control over your body. You're making a noise. You're getting a noise back from your mum and dad. That cooing thing that we do is all starting to get those hearing systems working inside a child's brain. And getting these neural synapses together. And it's exactly the same process for a big, tired adult as well. I was already 27, so it's kind of hard to learn a new language at 27. So I started listening to podcasts. I started having like a little badge, which I wore at work, where I said, only speak to me in Polish, which was horrendous. Because
I love it.
I'm standing there kind of trying to come up with the word that makes sense.
It's true, because when, when you're trying to practice, I don't know, you go to Żabka and you try like, speak this Polish words, they just switch to English.
They just switch to English
struggling.
every time.
True.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Efficiency of the badge.
And again, it's like, if I take the easy route, I'll never get anywhere, man. So I'm really glad I persevered. And there were lots of moments where I felt stupid. I mean, it's uncomfortable. And if anyone hasn't spent a long time in a culture where no one's really speaking your language and you're trying to fit in, it is uncomfortable. And I learned who I was at that time, man, because no one was helping me. It was all my own kind of like, my self-determination, my own drive and desire. And of course it pays off as well, because Poles' faces, they're just like, you're speaking Polish. It's wild, it's such a great feeling. So yeah, it was basically input equals output, get immersed, get in there as much as possible, take every opportunity, don't take the easy road, take the hard road. And to answer your question more precisely, I think it was probably 3 or 4 years. But the game changer was having a teacher 2 times a week. For 90 minutes. So once you add immersion plus theory plus that one-on-one support, you know how it is. You go to a boxing class with 30 people. You're only as good as the slowest person. Whereas if you have that one-on-one training, you're rocking and rolling. You got 60 minutes of personal work. So I would say 3 or 4 years, and then you've done most of the heavy lifting. You can get kind of into the details. But to be clear, I haven't mastered this ridiculous language at all. I've got plenty of work to do. I hate to say this, but expat who lives in Poland or any country and doesn't really live there because they watch everything in English. No offense, obviously, to anyone. Fine for them. That's their call. But for me, I'm all about getting in there. I want to talk to the old lady in the shop. Exactly. I want to. They start telling you stuff about their life, and then it turns out that their family member was in Auschwitz or something, and you have this film story that comes out of the fact that you just happen to have a conversation with them. And that's wild. I love that.
And that's the beautiful thing about this. I had a friend, he learned Polish this way. He's an American, David. And when he came to Poland, he, like you, said no more English. And his challenge was to get out and just talk to at least 10 babcias a day. That was his thing. He just goes and he picked Polish in 6 months. Can you imagine?
Wow.
But he's a smart kid. He's now in Harvard. He's a doctor.
Okay,
my
that's
bro.
Next level.
We started the company together, but he's a genius. So he has some Polish roots, but He didn't. He
So people would say, like, oh, how do you do that? Because they're so unfriendly. No, you say Dzień dobry to a babcia. She's going to basically,
Yes.
2 hours later, you guys are, she's inviting you around to her house for a cup of soup. It's awesome.
So it is going to be a nice segue to. So what about the language apps? In our phone, because I myself learn Polish using Duolingo, and every day I try to do like 20 minutes, and it just doesn't feel like I'm making any progress.
How's that working out here?
It's not working. So Duolingo, sorry, man.
Well, the truth is, I'm a bit old school, right? Like, you can't see the grey, I hope, but the reality is that when I started learning this language, probably the last language I'll ever learn, put in the time in, there weren't those apps. So I did it all before. I have heard, and people say exactly the same thing, which is, hey, I'm using this app, Duolingo's but one of them, there's others there as well. And then they go to the country and they can't use it at all. Nothing beats that human-to-human interaction. That's what you can't beat several 100,000 years of evolution. We're obviously hardwired to learn languages. We can do it at any time. It's never too late. I don't believe people who say like, oh, I don't have a talent for it. Yeah. Bro, you're a human being. Your communication, that's all we do the whole time. Thousands and thousands of hours of just one-on-one human interaction. So in my opinion, online learning has its place. I work with parents online, so we can all see the upside, but nothing beats the one-on-one time you have. So going to see 10 babchas, which is 10 grandmas for anyone who doesn't know the word, that's Harvard level strategy for sure. Personally, what I did was a mixture. I think listening is the first skill level that you should go to. So if you're listening to an hour's worth of a Polish podcast, you're not going to understand anything, but you pick up some words. Yeah. Then the sentences, then you're getting ideas. Then you start to go even deeper and you're starting to see the hidden meaning behind words, because words have more than one meaning, right? Intonation, the way someone speaks, the tension between them, colloquial language, in English. Like, if I say it's okay, you might be like, oh, he's pleased. But what that means in English is this is a disaster. So if you say it's okay, like, hey, I do something for Kamal, and you say, yeah, it's okay, Patrick. I'm like, whoa, what went wrong, And you're thinking, oh, I just told him it was okay. So there's like a language behind a language. Something tells me you don't get that on those apps. I'm not saying they're bad, but one thing's for sure, in a bunch of different education systems around the world, including in Sweden, they're actually walking away from tech learning, because we all thought, oh, it's great, you put an app in everyone's hands. Yeah. Poland had a thing, we're going to get a laptop to every single child, is good for learning. Actually, no. There's some studies coming out right now which are showing that when you switch back to paper, you retain more information and you learn more effectively. So teachers see this anyway, right? Like tech here, I mean, you're going to be like, I'll just quickly check my social media, So yeah, go offline, go human to human. You're probably going to see more progress.
Well, there you have it, guys. If you stayed till the end, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you would like to learn more or discover more, you can click right here on this video to enjoy more authentic and honest stories. Thank you so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you soon.